Have you ever looked back and thought, why did I let that get to me? You snapped in anger, you drowned in anxiety, or maybe you just felt overwhelmed and couldn't stop yourself from reacting. It happens to all of us. One moment of emotion, and suddenly regret follows. But what if you didn't have to live like that? What if, no matter what life throws your way, stress, insults, chaos, failure, you could stay calm, grounded, unshaken? Imagine that. Imagine becoming the kind of person who doesn't just manage emotions, but masters them, who doesn't let outside events dictate their inner peace. That's exactly what the Stoics were known for. These were warriors, emperors, philosophers, facing hardship and uncertainty on a scale we can barely imagine. Yet they remained composed, rational, and wise. In this video, you'll learn exactly how to cultivate that kind of emotional resilience, not by ignoring your emotions, not by suppressing them, but by transforming the way you see, feel, and respond. You'll learn to respond, not react, to think before you feel, to move through life with quiet strength and clarity, even when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. Let's dive in. Emotions. They seem to arrive out of nowhere, don't they? One second you're fine, the next, boom, frustration, anger, sadness. Like they have a life of their own. But what if I told you, emotions aren't random? They're not some invisible force that happens to you. In fact, Stoic philosophy teaches us something radically empowering. Emotions begin with your thoughts, not the world, not events, but your interpretation of them. Let that sink in. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Think about that. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you're driving and someone cuts you off recklessly. Your heart races. Maybe you slam the horn, yell, feel the heat rising in your chest. The default story? This idiot just disrespected me. But pause for a moment. Did the action itself, the lane change, cause your anger? Or was it the meaning you attached to it? The Stoics would say, it was your perception that triggered your emotional storm. You told yourself a story about the event, and that story lit the fire. This is where emotional freedom begins, because the moment you realize your feelings come from your thoughts, not from the world, you reclaim your power. You are no longer a puppet of your environment. You become the author of your experience. So next time you feel a wave of emotion building, don't just go along with it. Pause. Ask yourself, what am I telling myself about this? Is this interpretation helpful? Am I choosing calm or feeding chaos? This single moment of awareness can change the outcome entirely, because once you shift your perspective, you shift the emotion that follows. Remember, the world doesn't create your emotions. You do, and that means you can change them. Let's talk about one of the core principles of Stoicism, something so simple, yet so powerful it could change your daily life almost instantly. It's called the dichotomy of control. Here's the idea. There are two kinds of things in this world, the things you can control and the things you can't. That's it. And most of our emotional suffering, it comes from trying to control the second kind. Think about it. The weather, other people's opinions, traffic jams, the past, the economy. These are all outside of your control. Yet we stress about them constantly. We argue, worry, complain. We waste emotional energy on things we literally cannot change. But the Stoics, they flipped the script. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Let's break this down with a real-life scenario. You're stuck in traffic, already late for a big meeting. You watch the minutes tick by, fists clenching the wheel. Frustration builds. You shout at no one. You honk, as if that will change anything. But here's the Stoic response. Is this within my control? No. So why suffer over it? Instead, what is in your control? Your breath, your thoughts, your use of time. Maybe you call ahead and inform someone. Maybe you listen to an audiobook and learn something. Maybe you just accept and conserve your energy. This is emotional intelligence in action. This is freedom. So next time life throws a curveball, stop and ask yourself, can I control this? If not, what can I do right now? The more you practice this, the more peace you'll create. Not by changing the world, but by changing your relationship to it. And that's where real power lies. Let's face it, staying calm when life is easy. But staying calm when life tests you, when someone disrespects you, when things fall apart, that requires strength, inner strength, the kind you build through self-discipline. Think of emotional resilience like a muscle. You don't just wish for it, you train it. The Stoics believed in constant practice. They didn't wait for life to throw them into a crisis before they worked on their mindset. They rehearsed challenges in their mind. They visualized setbacks. They prepared. Seneca, another great Stoic, once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And so he trained himself to meet reality with grace. So how do you strengthen your emotional muscles? Start small. Choose to pause before reacting. Choose to stay silent when you're tempted to lash out. Choose discomfort now to build character later. Maybe that means waking up early, resisting that extra scroll on your phone, saying no to drama. Every time you choose the higher road, even in tiny ways, you forge emotional armor. And here's a secret. Self-discipline isn't about being rigid. It's about creating inner freedom. When you're not ruled by impulse, you are free to choose your response. When you don't have to react, you become unstoppable. So let's recap. Your emotions begin with your thoughts. Shift your perspective, and you shift your feelings. Focus only on what you can control, and let the rest go. Train your emotional muscles through daily acts of self-discipline. That's how you build calm that lasts. The Stoics didn't live easy lives, but they lived wise lives, and so can you. If this video helped you see things differently, hit the like button. It really supports the channel. And if you want more wisdom like this every week, don't forget to subscribe. Your emotions don't have to control you. You can learn to master them. And when you do, you'll move through life like a Stoic, calm, clear, unshaken. Smooth transition from previous section. Calm background continues. So far, we've explored how your thoughts shape your emotions, how focusing on what's in your control brings peace, and how daily self-discipline builds emotional strength. Now let's go a step deeper, into the habits and mindsets that help cement that Stoic calm into your daily life. Because the truth is, emotional mastery doesn't happen in a single moment. It's something you build every day with small, intentional choices. Have you ever noticed this pattern? The more often you give in to impulsive emotions, that flash of anger, that urge to quit, that temptation to lash out, the easier it becomes to fall into those same traps again and again. It's like digging a groove in the dirt. Every emotional outburst makes the groove deeper, harder to escape. The Stoics understood this all too well. That's why they taught that self-discipline isn't just helpful, it's essential. To them, mastering your emotions wasn't about having superhuman control. It was about training like you would a muscle, and like any muscle, the more you work it, the stronger it gets. Seneca, one of the great Stoic minds, wrote extensively about this. In his letters, he urged people to practice voluntary discomfort, to willingly face mild hardships, not because they were masochists, but because they were preparing for life. Why would anyone choose discomfort? Because discomfort teaches you who's really in charge, your impulses or your higher self. Imagine this. You deliberately take a cold shower in the morning, not because it's fun, but because it's hard, because it trains your mind to face discomfort without flinching. Or you decide to skip a meal, not because you have to, but because you want to remind yourself that you can handle hunger without panic. Or maybe you simply resist that urge to check your phone for the 10th time in an hour. Each one of these acts, small as they may seem, is a rep in your emotional gym. You're telling your brain, I'm in control, not my cravings, not my habits, not my fear of discomfort. And over time, that quiet discipline becomes your foundation. You'll find yourself staying calm in moments where others spiral. You'll notice a gap, a pause between trigger and reaction. And that pause is where freedom lives. So don't underestimate the power of these micro-challenges. Wake up a bit earlier than you want to. Take the stairs. Sit with silence. Say no to that impulse just once, then again. Each time, you're building something powerful. Emotional resilience. Let's face it, emotions are persuasive. They sweep in with urgency, convincing you that this moment, this slight, this failure, this frustration, is a crisis that must be dealt with now. But what if it's not? What if your emotional reaction is more about your interpretation than the situation itself? That's the heart of Stoic wisdom. It's not the event, it's the meaning you give it. And this is where one of Stoicism's most powerful tools comes in: cognitive reframing. Picture this. Someone insults you in front of others. Your gut, reaction, embarrassment, maybe even anger. The story kicks in. They disrespected me. They think I'm weak. I need to defend myself. But what if you change the lens? What if you told yourself, this person's words don't define me? Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they're projecting their own pain. Suddenly, the emotional sting starts to fade. That's what reframing does. It shifts your emotional response by shifting the story you're telling yourself. When you feel a negative emotion rising, pause just for a breath and ask yourself, is this the only way to look at this? What else could be true here? What story am I choosing to believe? And is it helping me stay calm? This isn't about denying reality. It's about choosing a more empowering version of it. And over time, this habit of stopping, reflecting, and reframing becomes second nature. Instead of being hijacked by your emotions, you become the pilot. You stay grounded, thoughtful, unshaken. Life is full of surprises, and not always the good kind. Plans fall apart, people disappoint us, illness strikes, the market crashes. The world doesn't ask for permission before changing course. And when we cling to the illusion of control, those changes hit like a tidal wave. The Stoics didn't pretend life was easy or fair, but they offered a radical kind of peace, the peace that comes from acceptance. They taught that true emotional freedom comes not from controlling everything, but from letting go of what you can't control. Epictetus said it clearly. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and that freedom is the result of self-control. So ask yourself, when something unexpected happens, when the world throws chaos your way, do you resist it, panic, rage, or do you pause and remind yourself, this is out of my hands. I can't change this, but I can choose how I respond. This isn't giving up. It's letting go of needless struggle. It's accepting reality as it is, not as you wish it were, and finding peace in that acceptance. Because once you stop wasting energy on what's outside your influence, you reclaim that energy for what matters: your thoughts, your choices, your inner peace. So let's pull it all together. Stoicism isn't about pretending to be emotionless. It's about understanding your emotions, about training yourself day by day to respond instead of react, to reframe instead of spiral, to accept instead of resist. You don't need perfect circumstances to be calm. You need a trained mind. And the path to that: practice self-discipline in small, daily ways. Reframe your thoughts and take the sting out of chaos. Let go of what you can't control and focus fully on what you can. because life will never stop challenging you, but you don't have to be shaken by every wave. So next time emotions start rising, pause. Ask yourself, what part of this is mine to control? How can I see this differently? What would a Stoic do right now? Each time you choose calm over chaos, clarity over impulse, you take one more step toward mastering your emotions, and more importantly, mastering yourself. Stoicism offers more than philosophy. It offers a way to live, fully present, deeply grounded, and unshaken by the storm. So take these principles with you, into your relationships, your work, your daily frustrations, and remember, you are in control of how you respond. No matter what happens outside of you, live like a Stoic, calm, rational, and free.